What's up guys, Drew back again with Princess Craft RV. Today we're going to be taking a look at the MDC XL15-4 Mark II. Beautiful unit here. We're going to start right up front as always. A little bit different than probably what most of you guys are used to seeing with this coupler here. What they are going to use is what's called a DO35 instead of your traditional like 2-inch, 2 5/16 inch ball. But the loading premise is still the same. Obviously, we are going to center ourselves underneath the coupler. We will use the tongue jack there off to my right, and we will lower that back down, making sure that once the tow vehicle is accepting the weight from here, we're going to go ahead and push this little button down. That's going to go ahead and lock it on. From there, obviously, we're going to kind of go from like a traditional load up. We will start by lifting the jack all the way up. Once we do get to that kind of finalized position here, we'll go ahead and pull this outward. That whole jack's gonna kind of tilt up out of the way for stowing. You'll also see here that you have a handbrake, which is nice. That's going to kind of serve as wheel chocks. So that's gonna make it definitely easier for when you're removing it from your vehicle so it doesn't take off on you, anything like that. So from there, we are going to take our tow chains and we will cross those underneath the coupler. So you have some nice heavy duty tow chains here. They will be crossed underneath the coupler as the state law in Texas. Also, it's illegal for these to make contact with the pavement at any time. So if we perceive that to be an issue, let's make sure that we do keep them out of the way. And then we have our emergency breakaway cable, very important piece of safety equipment. If these other tow components were to fail as the two vehicles go ahead and separate, this is going to act like a ripcord to the electric brake system, essentially locking those up, keeping you from like a runaway camper scenario. Also here, we have our 7-way plug. This is going to plug into the corresponding bumper receptacle here. This little piece of plastic is going to be in the 12 o'clock position. That door will hold down and keep that from being able to get pulled out inadvertently while towing. And then we here have, we also have an Anderson style connector here. This is to correspond with a DC to DC charger installed on the tow vehicle. And what that's going to do is keep your lithium batteries tip top using the charging system of your vehicle while going down the road. Also right up front here, we do have water supply here that is going to be plumbed into the rest of the freshwater system, and that just gives you kind of a place to wash your hands or just a secondary place to pull water from the unit. Up front here we have storage compartments and our propane up front here. Nothing too crazy to be said about that. They do have space for some cans if you want to add those. And then we have two 20-pound propane cylinders for you, open and close valve on the top, just like any other barbecue cylinder. And then they do have a belt here to hold those in and keep them from moving around while going down the road. Making our way here around the MDC, first thing up is going to be the storage compartment here on the driver's side. Now, both of these front compartments are equipped with like a Mo Ride style sliding drawer there. Does have a locking tab, and then most of what you're going to find here when you do take delivery of the unit is going to be your exterior annex room, shower rooms, things like that. All of those kind of soft goods, as they call them, are going to be up here in this front compartment. Other than that, we do have a light here. It's going to light up that space for us. Coming down here, we're going to see the nice heavy-duty stabilizer jacks on the MDC. Now, these are going to be used, or they can be used for leveling. Obviously, you're not going to be able to make up inches with this sort of leveling system, but within reason, you will be able to level the unit. So you have kind of two modes here, two stages. You have the stage that flips up here, so if we pull the release here, that's going to come down. And then we have this 3/4 inch drive crank handle here that will allow us to extend them further. Crank that up. So unit's a little nose down right now, so I'm not going to get full extension and lock in here of this. But basic premise being is once this is locked in, we can come here and use this to articulate it even further. Moving on here, we have our cassette toilet. So the black tank or black water toilet system is going to be completely separate on the MDC here. And it's going to have its own kind of separate water supply as well. So what we're going to do before we use that toilet, obviously, is we will fill this up with water. And then you have your gauge here. So there's a little sight window here that's going to tell us just about how much water we have in here. A couple things to remember with this system is if we have water in the top of the toilet and we go to remove this catch basin here, that water is going to fall back down into this compartment. So the only thing that is essentially holding that seal up top is going to be this container here. So when I go ahead and pull this out, it does a very good job of keeping everything kind of self-contained here in terms of your waste. If we pull this back manually, we can see that would be like the business end of the toilet. When you're actually up there using the toilet, this is what you're looking at. And then other than that, when we pull this out, obviously, again, it covers everything out, carries everything up, I should say. Basic premise being is that you would then pull out this handle. You could take this to any dump location, any campsite restroom, something like that. When we get there, we can flip out the dump nozzle here. And then there's a little vacuum release here on the back side that would then allow us to go ahead and dump this without having it like glug, glug, glug. From there, we fold this back in and we go ahead and put this in. And once it goes ahead and clips in there, that's all you need to do to return the unit back to service. So it's ready to go from here on out. Moving on, we have a 30 amp 110 volt power supply here. Your cord that comes with the unit is going to be what they call a twist lock connection. It's only going to plug into the unit one way. We'll give it an 1/8 inch turn to the right there. That's going to lock it in. Then yours will have a secondary collar here to screw down, lock it in further, keep that connection nice and weather tight. Now my absolute #1 recommendation I will make for any unit I deliver outside of any sort of safety concerns is going to be the addition of a 30 amp surge protector. Ton of different options there on the market. Biggest thing that you're going to be looking for is something with an EPO. If you do have any questions with that, feel free to call our parts department. They would be more than happy to educate you in just the products that we recommend with this. Moving on, tire pressure, lug nuts. Those are going to be, lug nut torque, I should say, is going to be very important things, especially when taking delivery of a new camper. Tire pressure, we run at the max tire pressure, which is stamped on the sidewall of the tire in the most traditional location. And then if you follow me up front here, we can also find that right here on the tire and axle sticker. And it looks like we are going to be at 80 PSI. So that's going to be the max tire pressure. Being load range E tires, that means you can run them anywhere from 30 to 80 PSI. So just kind of experiment with that for what works best for you. And then lug nut torque, these will have been torqued down to 110 foot-pounds as part of our pre-delivery inspection. The manufacturer is going to recommend a retorque procedure. The initial 10, 25, 50, and 100 miles of travel, it's important that we go retorque those back down to 110 foot-pounds. The manufacturer is going to recommend that at the start of each trip thereon after, we do make sure that we are checking to make sure that they are maintaining that 110 foot-pounds of torque. So what we have here is going to be our gray water dump. This doesn't use a standard kind of bayonet dump that you're going to find on most trailers. It just uses a simple valve system. You know, basic premise, if the valve is across the flow, it's closed. Obviously with the flow, it's open. And again, this is just going to be our gray water drain. If we come up here, we can see where our freshwater fill is. So freshwater If we are going to be like actually filling up the tank, we're going to stick a garden hose directly in here. We'll fill the unit up till it overflows. There is nothing obviously naturally pressurizing this water tank, so they have a 12 volt water pump on board to pressurize that system, draw that water up to the fixtures to make it usable. And then we have our city water connection here. Now, city water is pressurized from the line. For our needs, it is generally over pressurized. We want to make sure that we do regulate that pressure going inwards down to no more than 55 PSI. And of course, we'll use a water pressure regulator to do so. To the left of that, we have our propane burning furnace here. So this uses propane gas in a 12 volt blower motor to go ahead and circulate. This is obviously our exhaust. Biggest thing with that here in Texas is going to be installing the secondary bug screens to keep the mud daubers and flying insects from nesting within the appliance. And then we have our outside shower here, access to hot and cold water. Obviously nothing too crazy or exciting with that. You do have a on-off here to kind of conserve water consumption, things like that. And then you do have space here for the shower room that would allow you to have some privacy when you are actively using it. Next up here is we have a Truma system in here. This particular unit is going to be a boiler system. It kind of operates as like an on-demand system or tankless system. However, it does have a mixing vessel here. That's going to be this big black piece of plastic here. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on it in this particular video. But these are very susceptible to freeze damage. When it does come to doing like a proper winterization or maintaining this, you will want to consult either the Truma manual separately, or I know they do a really good job of kind of documenting that stuff online, so maybe not something. And actually, Clint, I think we did a video on this as well. So other than that, the appliance itself is a great appliance. It works really well, gives you hot water in a matter of seconds from being in otherwise cooled down. What you need to operate it basically is you have a on-off switch here. You see two on modes, and that's exactly what it is. So either one of those is going to work to turn the unit off, and then the middle is going to be off there. Other than that, you have a cover here that's going to feed there onto the bottom, and then we just go ahead and give it a twist there. That's going to keep it locked in. Now, you do have an intrusion point for mud daubers and flying insects here with this venting. However, these Aquagos, they are very particular about their air-fuel mixture. So if you restrict the flow here in any way, it's not going to operate properly. If you want to use a bug screen, that's perfect to use while storing it, but you'll struggle to use the unit reliably if you have that on during use. So one of the cool things you're going to see here on the XL15-4 is going to be the fold-out room here. Now we'll come back to that at the end because it does take a fair amount of effort here to videotape that. But just kind of to highlight what you're going to find back here, you have the spare tire carriers. They do fold down, which is really cool. And again, this is a fold-out room, so this will all be stowed while towing. And then as we kind of make our way around here, we are also going to see a propane port that is for the outside kitchen area here. So when we're making that connection, it'll kind of make sense for us to do this now. You will have a propane line that'll feed itself out here through this compartment here. And that's going to utilize a quick connect air hose style coupler. So the basic premise being is that you would slide this locking collar back. You would insert the male end of that propane line fully. Once you've done so, that's going to go ahead and snap back. And then all there is to it from there is going to go ahead and turn this valve into that on position. That's going to feed propane again to the stovetop there to allow you to utilize this outside kitchen space. And then other than that, it's very important that we do go ahead and put this dust cover in place before going down the road, keep any dirt and debris out of that orifice. So here we are at the outdoor kitchen area. So you do have a 3-burner cooktop here. Now this does have electric 12-volt ignition sparker. That was one of the components that will drop here throughout the back and plug in here at the 12-volt socket here at the rear. Other than that, it's going to operate just like any other kind of Coleman cooktop. Does have a glass top. We do want to make sure that the burners do cool down before we do close that off. And then this whole area here is kind of covered with this space here. So these lift up and they fold in. Keep a nice little keeper there. And then this whole thing's going to fold down like that. Has a little bungee cord to keep it down. Then you get a silverware storage here, which is cool. A little bit more storage here. Obviously we have our plumbing access here. And then you do have a sink, obviously with full-time running water. Now that is plumbed in, so you don't have to worry about making any like exterior connections of that water supply or anything like that. And then when it comes to folding this back in, we just come down like that. Again, everything nice and secure and covered. That's going to cover our drain and propane supply plugs there. And then here on the end, we have a release. Go ahead and put that in there. Probably before you do that, you'll want to go ahead and remove the leg here. So this is just going to be held in with tension essentially. So you have a screw nut here that you release. Once you've done so, that's going to go ahead and drop out. Now from in there, we'll finish closing this. So once we are into this position here, it will lock, but before going down the road, we want to make sure that we kind of put this hard latch on there, just keeping that weight off of this smaller kind of inferior lock here. We also then have a little bit more storage here, open top, if we wanted to go ahead and use that. This is going to be our exterior kind of TV area. Basic premise being is that you could go ahead and take the TV from inside or install a secondary TV here. Go ahead, this mount that you see here is removable, so that would stay with the TV. You put the TV inside while traveling, and then when you get to where you're going, you can obviously install it out here. Other than that, we have the 2-position or basically the pantry, as they call it, is going to be accessible interior and exterior. So you have access here, and then you have access on the inside as well. A couple 15-amp outlets there, obviously nothing too crazy with that. Here taking a look at the door. Nothing too crazy with that. We have kind of our traditional door hold open here that most people are used to seeing. And then they also have a secondary one here. If I can get my fingernail in there. Well, anyway, there's a latch here, and it goes ahead and is secured here on this secondary latch. And that actually keeps the door like fully open. So this one here is like a partial opening. And then using this little lock bar here, that'll go ahead and keep that door fully open. And then our step very easily is going to be up and in. That's nothing too crazy or exciting there. And then kind of back up here to the larger front storage compartment. This is going to be, you can get a cooler option here, or you can, of course, install your own. You have power solutions. You have a 12-volt cigarette lighter style receptacle, and then you have another Anderson connector if you want to go ahead and run the appliance that way. Obviously, those touch style lights that we've seen throughout the system, and that MORIDE style carrier as well. You again have different kind of lock positions here. You have this standard kind of drawer lock, and then we have the more secure style locking bar to accommodate more weight here. And then before we cut here, I do just want to take a look here at the soft goods that will generally be coming with the unit. You of course have your owner's manual here. In a box like this is going to be your backup camera. So we didn't even talk about that yet, but you do have a rear view camera on the unit. That's going to be the 7-inch monitor there. You have the Truma electric antifreeze kit installed with the unit, which is a great upgrade. You do get a couple wheel chocks. And this wrapped up here is going to be the lock for the front coupler area. And what else we got in here? We have, looks like some couple spare castle nuts, a couple lug studs, couple spare lug nuts in the event that you use them. Got a DO35 wrench there in case you need to attach that onto your own ball and drop. Looks like some components there for the annex room. Expendable lug wrench, which is cool. You have some rust protectant for the frame. And really a lot of this stuff is, you know, it is what it is, but it's really nice of MDC to go ahead and include it with the unit. Keep you from having to go out and kind of immediately purchase that stuff. These are going to be a couple tire covers for the spare tires there on the rear. And that basically covers it. The rest of the stuff is kind of just, you know, little doodads or whatever. But that's the exterior here of the MDC. We're going to hop on the inside and start taking a look at those features in there. So here, right inside the door, first thing that we're going to find is going to be the battery disconnect switch. This is a very important feature to use, specifically if we're going to be putting the unit into storage for an extended period of time. We want to go ahead and isolate that battery from the 12-volt system. With any 12-volt system, you're going to find that you have nominal or phantom draws on that system. And basically, we are just trying to eliminate those, compounding over many weeks or months in storage. We have the lift system here, on-off switch. So that has a kind of hard on-off switch and then up or down arrows there on the lift itself. We have our awning control here. Again, very similar to the lift system. You will have a hard on-off switch, and then you will have, you know, kind of a multi-positional switch here. So the middle position is going to kind of be neutral, so to speak. Then you have off, and then you have open. And it is kind of like it's not really a momentary switch because it does stay in that open position. So obviously make sure that the awning's ready to come out before putting that into the open position. We have our light switches here. So these are all going to be labeled in terms of location on the camper, and then each will have a yellow variant and then a white variant depending on the style of light that you like. And then we have our stereo system here. This is a CD player as well, and then you do have interior, exterior speakers. Now, being that this is kind of like a car stereo setup, when it does come to kind of isolate those speakers or either, you know, push the sound either inside or outside, what you're going to do is you're going to use the fade and the balance to do so, because again, it's more of like a setup like a car stereo than a standard like RV style stereo system. And then we also have our fire extinguisher here. Biggest thing with that is we do just want to make sure that we take note of the date code on it, and then always check to make sure that it is maintaining pressure before taking the unit down the road. Also here inside the door we have our bunks. You know, not much to be said about those. You do have ladder access points here. Ladder is going to be underneath the mattress there. You have kind of positionable lights here. Switch is going to be right there on the actual fixture. You do have a couple power options here, 12-volt cigarette lighter style receptacle, as well as a couple USB chargers. Ton of storage on the underside, which is nice as well. Making our way here into the restroom, just a couple things to take note of there. Obviously, it is a full restroom. You have a sink in here, toilet here. So this blue button is going to feed water to the toilet. And then you have your flush here, so nothing too crazy with that. Again, kind of like standard storage stuff underneath here. Again, not really too terribly much to be said about the shower. Obviously, when the roof is up, you have a mount here to bring it up high. When you go ahead and close the roof down, you have a position here to keep it as well. Other than that, you know, pretty kind of straightforward stuff here. Exhaust vent here. So we just crank it up, and then our fan is there. You can pull air in or exhaust it. We also have a light switch there on that particular fixture. But again, nothing too crazy or out of the norm. You do have a full restroom, which is nice. Coming here into the kitchen area. Obviously the same sink as we have on the outside of the unit, nothing too crazy. It does fold down. Same 3-burner cooktop that we have on the outside shower as well. You do have a sparker igniter there, so you'll hold that down in the light position until you see the flame. Give it a couple seconds and it will stay lit for you. Again, has a fold down gas top here, nothing too crazy. Ton of storage here in the bath or in the kitchen area. This is going to be the access to the exterior pantry, as they call it. So you do have interior, exterior access there. And really that's it here in the kitchen area. So just a ton of nice little storage for your needs. So all the windows here in the MDC are going to be the same. You'll have a screen that pulls down from the top. Then you'll have privacy that pulls up from the bottom. So pretty cool there. And then they are all going to be this lightweight acrylic window. To open it, you have these kind of locking tabs. You push the center button, rotate it out of the way. There'll be multiple kind of positions to open. So you'll hear a click. That'll to let you know that you're kind of at a position where it'll hold open. And then if we want to close it, we just lift past that position. If we were to kind of put all of these here in this middle selection, that's going to give you like a fingertip's worth of opening to vent the unit in the event that you're having like condensation issues or something like that. And then obviously to close the window fully, we come all the way back past that plastic and make sure that they're all secure there. Coming up here, we have our 110 volt breaker box. This should look similar to what you have at home. Everything here in terms of function is going to be labeled. Yeah, really nothing too crazy. They are resettable breakers, so if need be, you can reset them. And then we have a couple more kind of power sources here. 12 volt cigarette lighter style receptacle, a couple USBs chargers there. In here, the cool thing that they do in the MDCs is since they're basically meant to go off grid, you can pretty much isolate the 12 volt appliances as to what you're using. Kind of, you know, you can cut power completely to what you're not using and kind of only power on what you need at any specific time. So with that being said, they have each kind of one of those sections kind of labeled here. You have your DC outlets, you have your water pump and gauge, and then we have our hot water system here. Now, this is just going to actually turn on the appliance itself. You'll have a separate kind of actual display to turn the unit on and start heating that water. Same here with the furnace. So this is just cutting main power to the specific appliance. You may have like a secondary power switch or a secondary display to actually turn the appliance on. Toilet fridge. So that's again just going to cut power to the refrigerator and the toilet. Spare. So basically they just left this one open if you want to go ahead and add your own. And then we have freshwater heaters. You know, basically all of these are going to be tank heaters for cold weather camping. We have our BM Pro display here. Basically, this is just going to tell you or let you know basically how much 110 volt power you're inputting, and then what your load looks like on 12 volt. And basically it's just going to help you monitor, you know, how much of that lithium power you're using, so on and so forth. And then we actually have our tank monitors here, so we can turn that display on or off completely. And then it is just a full-on digital display. And they are labeled here. So front fresh tank, gray water tank, and rear fresh tank. So yeah, just about covers it here for the main power display. So what we have here is going to be our dial for the Truma AquaGo system. So this is labeled, it does have a couple indicators, like the middle position here is going to be off. And then if we go up, that's going to kind of be our normal mode. One up would be our quote unquote normal mode. And then one more up from there is going to be what they call our eco mode. Basically, the only difference in between the two is the amount of, essentially the temperature that the water is held in the mixing vessel. On the eco mode, it's held at a slightly higher temperature. So it just makes the kind of the amount of time for you to actually feel hot water at the fixture is slightly elevated. And then if we go past that off point and we start going down now, first mode is going to be that winterization mode. That is going to work in conjunction with the winterization element that MDC has installed within the unit. That's a very, you know, it's a really cool feature, and it really is going to help you out. Do keep in mind though that if the camper itself, if we're going ahead and we're using that winterize option, if the camper loses power at any time, that winterize option does not turn itself back on. So you could find yourself in maybe some trouble if you are really kind of, you know, relying on that to keep your unit from freezing. And then we also have a clean mode if we go all the way down to the bottom. Now a couple things about that mode. So the appliance itself is going to measure how many gallons of water you run through the particular appliance, and then it will, much kind of like a coffee maker, it'll indicate to you that it needs to be cleaned or descaled. So there's going to have descaling tablets you're going to use again in conjunction with that clean out mode to help keep that clean and in good working order. But if we were to inadvertently go into that clean out mode, it's going to lock us out of the appliance for 2 hours. So just keep that in mind there. We have our furnace thermostat here. The blower motor is actually here behind this leg. And the easiest thing about that is you do have an on-off switch there at the top. You're going to turn that on. And then you have a slider here that is actually going to turn the blower motor on. 16 seconds after that, it actually goes through that lighting cycle. By that minute and a half mark, it's producing noticeable heat within the unit. And then once we turn it off, it will kind of run for 2-3 minutes after that while it blows off that excess heat and then cools down. Moving over here, GFCI outlet. So the way that they usually will wire these up is that all or at least a couple outlets will generally be on the same circuit. If one of them were to get overloaded, you would need to reset here to restore function. We have a couple more of those chargers here, USB and 110. And then this is going to be our inverter power supply here. So if we're doing off-grid camping, that's going to turn that inverter on, allow us to go ahead and have access to the 110 volt, receptacles while being off-grid. And then coming around here, we do have the Dynet system. This is kind of on a multi-positional articulating arm here. And then the way that these work, so you have multiple positions here. So if we wanted to even put the table further out, we could, but we have it here on the internal. And then these These are like little ratchets. So you tighten up the tension, and then if I need to kind of change position of that handle, I just pull out and it'll allow me to go ahead and kind of reposition. Ultimately, to go ahead and remove this completely, we would loosen this handle here. That's going to allow us to take the tabletop, and then again, each one of these separates from the other. So this arm separates from this cross arm, and then ultimately the tabletop separates from that arm. Coming up here to the air conditioner, kind of a pretty basic air conditioner in terms of controls. All your controls are going to be right here on the unit. So when we look here at this scale, you have, you know, the blue is going to be actually conditioned air. So you have kind of a low, medium, and high there. And then the gray here is going to be just straight up fan with no compressor, no conditioned air. And then you have a kind of thermostat within the setting to allow you to further kind of choose how often that compressor kicks on. Filter here, it is removable, washable, reusable, as they say. You have the main dump here, and then you can open up these side vents to go ahead and directionalize that as best you can. So here we are. If we go ahead and remove kind of those dinette cushions, lift this back up, that's going to expose the kind of the bulk of the 12-volt system there. You have the BM Pro here, so the way that MDC does it is there's not like a 12-volt automotive blade style fuses that you're going to typically see in an RV. They use this BM Pro, so everything in terms of 12-volt appliances is ran to this one central location. Now this itself does have a reset button here. It's going to be right here on the side. You can't help but to find it if you go ahead and put your hand over there. You'll also find kind of a reset button here on the inverter as well. In the event that you need to reset that, that's going to be right down here in the corner as well. And then we have a you know, a bunch of auto resettable breakers here as well. And then we have a main you know, dog leg breaker there, and that's for the main power, the outputting power, I should say, to the inverter. So yeah, pretty much everything that you need is going to be right here in this particular area. If we kind of move positions here, might be able to get an eye on the battery, which is going to be here. This is going to be a 200 amp hour lithium battery. It is maintenance free. And then there generally is going to be an application that you can run with this battery that's going to tell you kind of you know, where it is in terms of voltage. And then obviously you can also use the BM Pro display up here to actually kind of keep tabs on where this sits in level of charge and discharge. So under this panel here, we kind of have the rear of the furnace, the Truma AquaGo, and then we have our water pump here. Not really generally like a customer serviceable thing, but if you know, you needed to have access to these particular appliances, it's nice that the manufacturer has provided that for you. And then also we have these cool little fans here. Now these do have different speed modes. They do have a timer you can set to keep them on for a predetermined amount of time. And then they are really kind of ultimately infinitely positionable to where, you know, you kind of want to get that air. And then kind of coming around here to the other side, we just have our Jensen TV unit. So that's a 12-volt TV unit. There is an omnidirectional digital over-the-air antenna on the roof that's going to bring in programming dependent on your signal. We have another one of those fans there off to the side of that. And that basically covers it here for the bedroom area. Yeah. So right above the main sleeping area, you have this Heike style vent. Really cool. You do have like a bug screen option, so you can leave that open and you don't have to worry about a bunch of bugs. You have a privacy option, so if you're trying to sleep in, you don't have that sun beating down. On off here on the lights as well. And then when we go ahead to open this, you have a couple latches there similar to what you're going to find on the windows. And then you have your handle here. And that's going to lift all the way open, or if you were looking for like a partial opening, you can go ahead and put it something like that. And then ultimately when we're coming back down to close it, we can fold that handle back and then lock these back, secure for travel. So before we hop on outside and talk about kind of folding up this extra room in here, it's just important to note that the mattress does need to initially fold in half, and then you're going to bring that mattress as far forward as you can. And then you'll obviously start on the exterior, kind of breaking down this room, and we'll show you that here in just a second. So here we are at the rear. So we've already moved the mattress forward. From there, we start from the top. So we have latches here that we are going to undo, and then this is going to fold down. And then this folds up. And so then we have latches here, and then you have a secondary latch there. Once you've done that, then these come in, and these will also latch. And then last but not least, the top comes down, and you have 3 latches here along the bottom to go ahead and secure that. From there, our spare tires are going to come up. So you have some pins, and these have some gas struts that make them nice and easy to lift up. From there, I have a pin that I would go ahead and pin here on the bottom with a secondary cotter pin there. And then also on both sides of that bracket, we have those similar latches there that we can install locks on to keep those secure as well. All right, guys, well, that wraps it up here for the XL15-4 Mark II. Really was our pleasure showing you around. If you do have any questions, feel free to comment below. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day.